Hello, everyone. In today's episode, we'll look at the following: a general overview of the GE9FA gas turbine unit, the complete GasPath, a thermodynamic study and the Brayton cycle, and finally, the unit orientation. Here, you can see that every part or system is located inside an enclosure, which GE calls a compartment. These are rooms that are acoustically and thermally insulated with their own ventilation system, internal lighting, and tightly sealed doors. The big advantage is that they can operate in very harsh weather conditions. Heat, rain, wind, storms, none of that really affects them. They also provide very high protection for the equipment and devices inside. But honestly, they're not the best when it comes to maintenance work, and any maintenance engineer will tell you that. Let's take a look at the locations and names of these compartments using this image. The person standing here is just to help you imagine the actual size of the unit. This is the turbine compartment. It contains the most important components, the turbine unit itself. The generator, coupled on the same shaft with the compressor and the turbine, and it's cooled using hydrogen. Here is the turning gear, an electric motor responsible for rotating the shaft at low speed. The space between the turbine compartment and the generator is called the load shaft compartment. The diffuser compartment contains the exhaust diffuser itself and the exhaust temperature sensors. Here is the air inlet system. It includes the inlet air filters, the inlet bleed heat system, IBH, and the duct through which the air flows, the air inlet duct. The last part, just before the air enters the compressor, the inlet plenum. This is the accessory module, and it consists of two separate parts, the lube oil skid and the gas fuel skid. Their base is the oil tank, which is the source of all the oil required by the unit. Here is the liquid fuel and atomizing air skid, two sections but not physically separated, one section for liquid fuel equipment and another dedicated to the atomizing air. Here is the water injection skid, responsible for preparing and injecting water into the combustion chambers when operating on liquid fuel, in order to reduce NOx emissions. The water wash skid is used for compressor washing, both online and offline, and there is usually only one unit per site. Here is the Electrical and Electronic Control Center, known as PEECC, which stands for Packaged Electrical and Electronic Control Center. These two units next to each other, one is the excitation compartment for the excitation system of the generator, and the other is the LCI compartment for the starting system. LCI stands for Load Commutative Inverter. This system is used in FA technology turbines and allows for a very fast startup, sometimes as quick as 10 minutes. Don't worry, we'll open each of these closed boxes and explain it in detail. In this side view, let's follow the gas path from the moment ambient air enters all the way to the exhaust gases leaving the unit, what we call the gas path. We're going to divide it into sections: air inlet, compressor, combustion, turbine, exhaust. Ambient air is drawn in due to the rotation of the compressor, which creates a pressure drop. It passes through several filters at the air inlet, moves through the inlet duct until it reaches the inlet plenum. The function of the inlet plenum is to calm the airflow, remove any swirl, and ensure uniform air distribution around the entire compressor circumference. Air enters the compressor through the bell mouth. It's named that way because of its bell-shaped conical design, which helps minimize inlet losses. The first thing the air encounters inside the compressor is the inlet guide vanes, or IGV. These vanes control the inlet air angle and also control the air mass flow entering the compressor. Next comes the compressor itself. It is an axial flow type consisting of 18 stages. Each stage increases the pressure by a fixed ratio and passes the flow to the next stage. In the middle, specifically after the 9th and 13th stages, starts the compressor bleed lines. We'll talk about those later. Eventually, we reach highly compressed air. Before leaving the compressor, the air passes through two rows of exit guide vanes, or EGV, which straighten air exit angle, remove swirls, and slow down speed. The compressed air then collects in an annular space around the compressor called the compressor discharge, or the combustion wrapper. Most of the air enters the combustion chambers in a reverse flow configuration, while another portion is used for cooling and sealing. The air entering the combustion chambers mixes with fuel and ignites. From this point on, we no longer call it air, it becomes combustion gases. These hot gases expand as they pass through the turbine stages, which, in this case, consist of 3 stages. During expansion, the gases lose thermal energy, and in return, they deliver mechanical energy in the form of shaft rotation. After the last rotating blade, the exhaust gases enter the exhaust frame directly and pass through it with no significant aerodynamic effect on the flow. Then the gases enter the exhaust diffuser, whose role is to reduce gas velocity and recover part of the energy by increasing static pressure. After that, the gases move into the exhaust plenum, a collection chamber for exhaust gases. From here, the path is decided. Either the gases exit through the stack in simple cycle operation, or enter the HRSG in combined cycle operation. The complete path from air inlet to exhaust outlet is called the gas path. From the combustion chambers to the final exhaust, we call it the hot gas path. Everything we've seen so far is a direct practical application of what we study theoretically in thermodynamics, the Brayton cycle, which explains the working principle of any gas turbine. Let's apply it here, using real field data. First, let's draw the cycle. This symbol represents the compressor. Ambient air, after filtration, just before the compressor, this is point 1. Air leaves the compressor at point 2. Then, the air enters the combustion chambers, mixes with fuel, and combustion occurs. The outlet of the combustion chambers is point 3. This symbol represents the turbine, on the same shaft as the compressor. The turbine inlet is point 3. The exhaust exits at point 4. Now let's draw the TS diagram. Temperature T on the vertical axis, entropy S on the horizontal axis. In the ideal case, the process from 1 to 2 occurs inside the compressor is called isentropic compression. Compression occurs at constant entropy, which is what ideally happens inside the compressor. The process from 2 to 3 inside combustion chambers is called heat addition under constant pressure. The process from 3 to 4 inside the turbine is called isentropic expansion, expansion at constant entropy. Of course, this is an ideal model. In reality, things are a bit different. In a real turbine, efficiency is lower and the processes are not truly isentropic, which means entropy increases. Let's see how this appears on the TS diagram. The compression process from 1 to 2 is not a vertical line. Due to friction, aerodynamic losses, and internal inefficiencies in the compressor, the air exits at point 2' with higher temperature and higher entropy, so the point shifts upward and to the right. The combustion process from 2 to 3, theoretically, pressure is constant, but in reality, there is pressure loss inside the combustion chambers due to mixing, friction, and flame path effects, so P3 is slightly lower than P2. The expansion process from 3 to 4 is also not isentropic. Losses inside the turbine blades, cooling flows, and flow disturbances mean that instead of reaching the ideal point 4, we reach point 4' with higher temperature and higher entropy. Now let's look at real numbers for our gas turbine. Point 1. Air enters at near atmospheric pressure, or slightly lower due to filter losses, and at ambient temperature, for example 15 degrees Celsius. Point 2. Air exits the compressor at a pressure of about 15 to 16 bar, and a temperature between 380 and 420 degrees Celsius, depending on load and ambient conditions. Point 3. The pressure here is slightly lower than P2, but the major change is temperature. T3 is typically between 1,300 and 1,400 degrees Celsius. This point is especially important in GE turbines. It must be distinguished from the flame temperature inside the combustion chamber, which is much higher. GE defines T3 as the temperature of the hot gases at the inlet of the first rotating turbine stage, after the first stage nozzle. Why? Because this is the highest temperature the metal can withstand, and the highest temperature that can be effectively used to produce mechanical work. That's why it's called the highest usable temperature. From here comes a very important term, firing temperature or turbine inlet temperature, TIT. This is the true indicator of turbine power capability, the most important parameter controlling power and efficiency, and at the same time, the most critical factor affecting component life if limits are exceeded. Point 4. After expansion inside the turbine, the exhaust leaves at near atmospheric pressure with a temperature that can reach 600 to 650 degrees Celsius, depending on load. Now let's move to the final part in this episode, unit orientation. Understanding directions is very important. When we say forward end, we mean the air inlet side. Aft end refers to the exhaust side. This applies to the entire unit or to any individual component. Downstream means in the direction of flow. Upstream means opposite to the flow direction. Right or left defined while standing at the forward end looking downstream. What's on your right is the right-hand side, and what's on your left is the left-hand side. The shaft rotation direction is counterclockwise when viewed downstream. These orientations are very important, and they'll stay with us throughout the course. You'll hear them often. For the two gas turbine units, the layout and orientations are almost identical except for the air inlet. One unit has a right-hand air inlet, and the other has a left-hand air inlet. This refers to the location of doors, stairways, and the electric hoist used for filters. The idea is to have the two air inlet systems facing each other, making maintenance and operation easier. And with that, we've reached the end of today's episode. In the next one, we'll go through each major turbine component in detail. See you then.